There are a myriad of reasons that professionals take career breaks: redundancy, family care, health issues, burnout recovery, or personal passions. In this chat, we're going to explore effective strategies to articulate these experiences when seeking to re enter the workforce. Welcome to our insightful discussion on navigating career breaks. I'm Leah from TYFU, and I'm so honoured to introduce Uma Thana Balasingham, a vibrant and visionary leader, successful founder and CEO, passionate keynote speaker, great connector, and an inspiring advocate for gender equality. Uma's career has spanned over 20 years in the Asia Pacific tech industry, where she has earned global recognition in CRN's Most Powerful Women list and Singapore's Top 100 Women in IT. Passionate about gender equity, Uma co-founded Lean in Singapore, fostering a thriving community to drive gender diversity in the workplace. Her work also extends to amplifying women's voices in the tech industry, and she was recently named LinkedIn's Top 10 Voices in Gender Equity. Now, as the visionary founder of Elevate Asia, Uma is creating a transformative space of connection and positive impact for female executive leaders across Asia. Uma's approach is grounded in raw leadership, which embraces vulnerability as a strength and a key to success. Today, we'll dive into Uma's inspiring journey and her powerful insights on navigating career breaks. Uma, thank you so much for joining us and for listening to my very long introduction.
I'm so great to be here with you.
Thank you. Let's just jump right in. You have had an extremely impressive career with some very significant achievements. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you currently do, and how you got there?
Sure. So I grew up in a tiny town called Johor Bahru that's across the border in Singapore in a country called Malaysia. And at age 5, I saw this orchestra playing on television, and I told my parents I wanted to play the piano. So my grandmother bought me my first piano. I finished grade 8 at 15, said I want to go to music school. And my parents said I would not make any money doing that, and I had to choose between doctor, lawyer, engineer. And none of that happened, obviously. And I had to put myself to university. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a mechanic who had to give up his job for health reasons. So I took a government loan, filled out a form, and got my last choice on the form, which was computer science. That's how I ended up in tech, and I've had an amazing and rich career. I started as an engineer. I moved on to sales. I got my first VP position in sales at 38, and it's just been over a year now, leaving the corporate world. And I'm on a mission to uplift 5 million working women in Asia through the Elevate Group. And I'm also building a synergistic ecosystem of content and products, speaking, etc., under the Uma brand.
Yeah, amazing, which I'm a big fan of, and I'm subscribing to all of your channels. So I'm really grateful that you have started that. And I guess the stars aligned and you kind of fell into tech. But yes, well done on a great career. Um, let's talk about career breaks. So I'd love to know, in your view, how are career breaks perceived in today's professional landscape?
Yeah, career breaks in today's professional landscape, I think they are a paradox. We tell people to take care of themselves, to prioritize family, to find purpose. And then when they do, we penalize them for it. And I've seen it firsthand. My mentors have been telling me over the past year or so, don't take a career break too long. You know you're in your highest earning years, and they're not wrong.
Yeah.
Even those who can afford a pause, like I do, feel the pressure to justify it, to package it neatly into a LinkedIn announcement to prove that they are still valuable. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The professional world still equates uninterrupted work with reliability. There's so many reasons why people take career breaks, whether it's family responsibilities, it's health reasons, it's burnout, further education, personal reinvention, like I am, simply needing to breathe, or just because you can. And none of these are signs of weakness. And yet, the moment somebody steps up the treadmill, there's a quiet questioning. Are they still serious? Can they still keep up? I think it's exhausting. We
I
talk about diversity and inclusion, but if we really wanted and valued different paths for everyone, we wouldn't make people feel like they need to explain why they took time off. So maybe the real question isn't how career breaks are perceived, it's why we are still so afraid of them.
love that. So, why are we still so afraid of them?
Okay, this is a personal point of view and might be a controversial one. I think it's because we are wired to fear gaps. Gaps in knowledge, gaps in employment, gaps in momentum. Somewhere along the way, we decided that progress should be a straight line. No
Hmm.
pauses, no detours, no quiet moments of reflection, just forward.
Continual forward. Yeah.
And so when someone steps away, whether it's for family, health, burnout, or just to be, we don't know what to do with that. The corporate world worships productivity.
Hmm.
It measures worth in output, in titles, in how fast you go from one thing to the next. And so when someone takes a break, it disrupts that narrative. And I think that makes us uncomfortable. Were they not strong enough to keep going? Did they lose their edge? Will they still be as valuable when they come back? But here's what no one talks about, I think, that career breaks don't make people less capable. I think, if anything, they make them more and more self-aware, more intentional, more resilient.
Yeah.
So we're stuck in this mindset that treats a break as a liability instead of an investment. And the
Yeah.
real irony is that some of the most successful leaders, the best ones I know, have taken one.
Mm.
So maybe it's not the break we should be afraid of. Maybe it's what we're missing by never taking one.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And I think you're so spot on. And often after a break, you come back more like refocused, refueled, highly driven, and motivated, and you're renewed. So it is a shame that yeah, we feel the need that we have to justify a break and that it isn't looked upon favorably. And as you said, corporates are afraid of it. So I love that we're having this discussion and I love your work that you're doing to try and change the narrative and sort of normalize breaks and make it easier for people who are re-entering the workforce. Just further to all of this, I know you've hired, people who have taken career breaks. What advice would you give to professionals on how to frame a career break positively to, employers?
I love this question. So, to frame your career breaks positively during interviews and also on your resume, I would say own it. Don't apologize for it. And don't try to hide it.
Okay.
The moment you start speaking about your career break like it's something to justify, I think
Mm,
you've already lost. Because
okay.
the truth is, taking time off for whatever reason isn't a weakness. It's a decision you made. And I think decisions show agency. So here's how I would frame it with confidence. So, number one, you want to choose your words carefully. So reframe the narrative. Instead of, I took a break because I had no choice, try saying something like, I chose to. I made a conscious decision to step away, to focus on whatever your reasoning is. And that experience gave me, new perspectives, resilience, clarity, leadership skills that I now bring back to the workplace, right? Instead of saying, I was out of workplace for a while, you say, during my career pause, I, upskilled, managed a complex personal situation, worked on meaningful projects, whatever it is that you did, all of which strengthened my ability. So that's the first thing you need to do, reframe your narrative. The
Yeah.
second thing is highlight the value you gained. And this is where I think people miss out because there's so much value in managing a household, caregiving, navigating a personal challenge, right? That's leadership and resilience. Did you take a course? Did you learn a new industry? That's upskilling and learning. Uh,
Right.
and then I, as an employer, really valued people who know why they do what they do. For me, that's self-awareness and clarity.
Mhm.
right? So if your break helped refine your purpose, then own that. So that's the second thing, right?
Okay.
Highlight what you gained. And
Okay.
the third thing I would say is like position it as an asset. Employers want people who bring fresh thinking, problem-solving skills, resilience, right? Workplaces are not easy. So your break didn't make you less of a professional, it made you more. So, for example, I might say something like taking time off really allowed me to step back, realign my priorities, and invest in skills that matter. Now I'm returning, like you said earlier, with a fresh perspective, a renewed drive, and an even stronger ability to contribute, right? So
Right.
that's the third thing. It's
Yeah.
an asset, position it as an asset. And the last thing I would say is be brief and then move on. Um,
Okay.
be on the offense. You want to put it up front, but then be brief and move on. So you want to address it confidently, and especially for women, practice in front of the mirror, practice with your friends, highlight the value, and then pivot back to what you're talking about, which is
Got
the
it.
job at hand. So I might
Yes.
say something like, yes, I took a break for reason. During that time, I gained X skills. Now
Yep.
I'm excited to bring that.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's the key. Like, just speak
Yeah.
with confidence, the way that you would own a high profile project, because that's
Got it.
exactly what it was.
That's what it is. Okay. So own it, sell it, don't dwell on it. And yeah, that's it. Any tips on if somebody is struggling, because it can be a bit tricky, on how to identify or highlight some transferable skills that they gained, during their time away? Any tips on how they can package that?
Yes. So I think the trick in packaging what you learned during your career break is how to translate those lessons into
Yep.
professional strengths. So I would look at what you actually did. So instead of focusing on where you are, focus on what you did during that time. So
Okay.
did I manage a household? That's leadership, budgeting, conflict resolution. Did I care for a family member? That's emotional intelligence, resilience, crisis management. Um,
Hmm.
go back to school. That's adaptability, learning agility, critical thinking. Did I travel or take a sabbatical? That's cultural intelligence, problem
Hmm.
solving, networking.
Right. You make this sound so good and so effortless.
Yeah,
That's
but
great.
it's all
Yeah,
true,
love it.
right? But we're
Yeah. Yeah.
we're so stuck
Mhm.
in this age-old narrative about
Yeah.
this being a bad thing that we
Yeah.
forget,
We have to
right?
forgive and justify why. Yeah. And it's no good.
Yes. So map those two core workplace skills.
Okay.
Like, and I know a lot of people who are recovering from burnout and focusing on mental health. I mean, that's self-awareness, stress management, a deeper understanding of self and workplace well-being. All of those are incredibly valuable skills.
Yeah, definitely. Um, any steps that job seekers can take to update skills or knowledge to align with current industry demands as they're preparing to re-enter the workforce?
Yes, and I think when you're updating your skills and knowledge to align to whatever roles that you're looking for, is be strategic in how you update them and bridge any gaps. So I would say number one, think about the industry shifts, the ones that you are applying into. Get clear on what's changed in your field. So you want to try and follow industry leaders on LinkedIn, for example, listen to podcasts in the industry, subscribe to newsletter, join some groups. Read the job description of the roles you're interested in, like way before you start looking, and then so that you can start in anticipating and have conversations early. So I think this first steps helps you identify like what's new, what's in demand, and what's no longer relevant.
Yeah.
Uh, the second thing is, take a quick high impact course, which are short, but, ideally it comes with a certification. So you have that. There's so many free stuff out there, whether it's LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, Google
Yeah.
Meta certifications, AI, tech basics, right?
Yeah.
So I recommend take the ones that give you certifications or are project based, because
Okay.
you can put that in. Learn AI and tech tools, whether it's Canva or GPT, etc. They are your best friend.
Mm.
And then try and do a small will project. I have, a nonprofit and I have a lot of volunteers in career breaks.
Yeah.
So volunteering for a nonprofit is a great way to do it. As a LinkedIn top voice, I highly recommend writing LinkedIn posts at least once a week. Summarize what you've learned. People gravitate towards that, even though you're in your career break, right? So that digital presence is going to be early. And then last but not least, network before you need the network. And we can talk more about how to get those meetings.
Yeah, I love that. Network before you need the network. I think even if you get a job, keep networking. And
Absolutely.
so, speaking of networking, obviously it's vital in facilitating a successful return to work, and especially in a competitive job market. So, any networking strategies that you recommend? Because you are a LinkedIn top voice, you've got lots of followers, and obviously you're a pro at networking. So, we'd love to hear your tips on this.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is really just about storytelling, and nobody can tell your stories except for you. So that is the most powerful thing you can do on a digital platform. I would say reconnect with your network. You want to first start with the people that you've had a positive working experience with. A lot of times when I'm speaking to people that are coming back into the job market, they're doing the numbers game of applying to 200 jobs and waiting for a call back, and they don't get any call back, and that takes a confident hit to them. And they're not getting the calls because they don't know them. They don't know who you are. So always start with people you know and who you had a positive working experience with. And don't say like, hey, let's catch up for coffee. Say something like, hey, Leah, I'm stepping back into this industry. Would love your insights on trends and key skills. Could we chat for 15 minutes? Now, 15 minutes sounds like not a big ask.
Yes.
And people want to help other people. So don't ask for an hour, ask for 15, max 30 minutes, right?
Mhm.
And I think the second thing is don't ask for jobs, ask for insights. I think people are more willing to help when they don't feel pressured. So a great question is, if you were re-entering the workforce today, what would you focus on learning, right? So I'm asking
Amazing. Yeah.
insight,
Yeah.
not a job,
Mhm.
right? So I think those are like my top two tips on trying to network while you are on a career break, and then try doing it before you actually need the network. Build those relationships early so that when the time comes, the opportunities come to you instead of you going to them.
Yeah, I particularly love your advice for not asking for a coffee because I think that's a trap that lots of people fall into. But a 15-minute chat or a call, way less pressure, much easier to coordinate. And then again, asking for insights rather than, help getting a job, I think is great advice. Can we talk quickly about, self-doubt? As you said, many returnees grapple with self-doubt and hits to confidence. Any insights that you can share, on how to rebuild confidence when you're dealing with rejection or silence from job searching?
Yeah, look, went through this myself, and sometimes I still go through it about what am I missing out and what if I wanted to come back? Am I going to be irrelevant? So it's very real, the self-doubt. And I
Mm,
think confidence isn't a feeling. I have learned to take it as a byproduct of action. And here's how I would start rebuilding it. That's worked for me. So number one, you want to reframe your narrative. You didn't step away, you invested in your growth, so own your story with pride.
mhm.
Number two, you want to start small and then build wins. So I talked about volunteering, upskilling, right? Confidence grows through action, not overthinking. Number three, I would say reconnect with your strengths. All of us have gifts, right? Make a list of what you were really proud of, your past success, what problems did you solve? What is it that people keep coming to you for? Like we don't notice these things.
Yeah.
Like that's like your core skills and they don't disappear. Um,
Yes.
and you want to have a tribe. This is super important for me that are supportive, that you can bounce ideas, accountability partners, etc. So I want to share two confidence hacks that I use personally when
Amazing.
I'm down in the dumps. Number one, write three things down that you did well that day before you go to bed. And on some days, it might be I made a cup of tea for myself. On another day, it's going to be something completely different. But
Yeah.
you need to do this reinforcement, kind of like interrupt yourself with this thing that this low confidence piece. Number two, before any interview or big moment, think about all the jobs you've had, all the opportunities you've ever been given.
Hmm.
Somebody had a choice to give them to somebody else, but they chose you. Write down why they chose you and
Okay.
read it before you walk into that room.
Yeah.
And so I think that confidence comes from doing. And
Yeah.
so take that first step, and I think everything else will follow.
Yeah. That's great advice. Just really quickly, I know you've mentioned your tribe and mentors and stuff, and you talk about that quite a lot actually on your socials. I just would love to know how or where can people look for a mentor if they've never had one before, and then how to get them to become a mentor.
Profile.
Start small. Okay, start. Yeah, awesome advice. Um, just to wrap up, I'd love to ask you one final question. How do you foresee the perception and acceptance of career breaks evolving in the next decade? Excellent. And I do agree with you. And let's hope that that is the outlook that we see. Um, Thank you so much, Uma. It is so evident that, career breaks, whether planned or unexpected, can offer profound personal and professional growth. And by framing these experiences sort of authentically and strategically, you can turn potential challenges into compelling narratives that resonate with employers. Uma, your insights have been invaluable, and I think it just makes it so much easier for those who are thinking about re-entering the workforce. It gives them confidence and clarity. So thank you very much for sharing your expertise and experience with us today. And any job seekers who are navigating re-entering the workforce right now, we wish you the best of luck with your job search and make sure you look Uma up on LinkedIn for more of her amazing and inspiring insights. Thank you.